here's the delay, so that's the screen that we have now, right?
Yeah, that should, yeah,
So we should be good then.
finally, yeah, I'm just gonna, I can't get to the live button without
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. Before.
before we switch up.
Well, hello and welcome to the Movie Paradise Show. I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár. I'm joined by our co-host, Rob Giachinta. Rob, thanks for being here as always.
No problem.
As always, I say, even though you haven't been on the last two times.
Yeah, I'm back, bitches.
You're back. Alright, and that's what matters, right? And here on the Movie Paradise Show, we do this 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube every single Saturday. So if you like live shows, you like talking about movies, you can come here to the Movie Paradise Show and join us as we discuss a whole bunch of things. We usually have an array of different topics that we like to get to here on the Movie Paradise Show. We're talking today, we're going to talk about some Batman casting, we're going to talk about some trailers, we're going to give some brief go or no-go reviews for a couple of movies that we've had a chance to see, and we're going to talk about what we think is going to be the highest grossing movie of 2020, which isn't as easy as an answer as you might think, so you're going to want to stick around for this show as we talk about all those great things. And Rob, let's kick it off. Did you hear, I don't know if you heard about this, but did you hear about the new Batman casting news? Did you hear about this?
No, dude, I had no phone the whole week. I was, buried in a ditch.
No phone, no
right
laptop, no nothing. So you haven't had a chance to hear. Let me tell you exactly what, since you obviously didn't have a chance to hear. We have some new casting announcements for Matt Reeves' The Batman movie coming out in 2021. We have Zoe Kravitz is going to be playing Catwoman. And remember when Jonah Hill was in talks to maybe be the Penguin, maybe be the Riddler? He's out now, and now we have Paul Dano is going to be playing the Riddler. And I didn't include it in the lower thirds because it just broke last night, but Michael Giacchino is going to be doing the score for the Batman as well. Of course, he worked with Matt Reeves on the last two Planet of the Apes movies. Rob, this is shaping up to be one hell of a cast, of course, with Robert Pattinson playing Batman, and we already heard that Jeffrey Wright is going to be Commissioner Gordon. They've got a great lineup for this movie. What's your take on all this?
Well, whenever a movie that we're highly anticipated of keeps adding and adding more talent, it gets me obviously excited. And, I was a little bummed out about the Jonah Hill thing, but I honestly think Paul Dano is a better fit for the character. Not necessarily a better actor than Jonah Hill, but I think it's going to be better for the movie. And also, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, that wasn't something I thought of at first, but I think she has the right look to be Catwoman, and I also think she's a pretty good actress on her own.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I haven't seen Zoe Kravitz in too much, to be completely honest. So I don't know too much about her ability, but I've heard a lot of great things from the people who have seen her and stuff. And so I'm more excited to just get a new iteration of the Catwoman character. Because, we had Michelle Pfeiffer play her, and for what that movie was, that was really cool. I never saw the Halle Berry iteration of the character. And then we had... one of the best movies, one Best Picture, am I right? And then we had Anne Hathaway play her in The Dark Knight Rises, and I don't think the character didn't have too much to do in that movie, but I liked Anne Hathaway as the character. I'm just excited to see a new iteration of that character, but what really gets me excited about this news is Paul Dano as the Riddler. I think that's going to be fantastic. We haven't really had a great depiction of the Riddler. We had Jim Carrey play this really wacky version of the Riddler, which for what that movie was, for Joel Schumacher's take on it, whatever. Okay, that was fine. But, you know, I'm really excited to see, like, a creepy Riddler. And I think that's what we're going to get with Paul Dano. We're going to get a creepy Riddler. Like, Paul Dano is such a fantastic actor. Like, Prisoners, he's so good in Prisoners. And I think if you take that kind of approach that he brings to something like a Prisoners and bring that to, like, this creepy, maniacal person who just, like, is creating all these demented, you know, riddles or whatever for the Batman. I think something that Matt Reeves has really been stressing about this Batman movie is that we're finally going to get the take on Batman where he's the world's greatest detective. That's something that's always been a hallmark of the character in the comics, and we've never really had that in the movies yet. We've had elements of it, like in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. We've seen the detective elements, but we've never really gotten the sense that he is the world's greatest detective. And I think that's something Matt Reeves has talked about that he's bringing to this movie. But we're also, I think, by the fact that we're getting the Riddler as one of the main principal villains, I think that shows that they're really going to be leaning into that element. So I'm really excited for this sort of war of minds between Paul Dano's Riddler and Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, Michael Giacchino doing the score. What an excellent composer, and it kind of makes sense because, you know, he's worked on a lot of other Matt Reeves films, but another great get for the movie. Yeah.
Michael Giacchino is, like, one of the best working right now. He's done a lot of great scores, and I'm just excited to see him re-teaming with Matt Reeves. You know, it's always great whenever you have filmmakers bringing on people that they've worked with before, because it just shows that, you know, they got along well with them. You know, they worked well together, and so you want to bring on people that you've worked with and that you've done good work with before. And so I think Michael Giacchino coming back in to do the score for this one, I think that just shows that he has a good working relationship with Matt Reeves, and that's always good to hear.
I'm interested to hear his, like, take on, like, the Batman theme, because we have, like, a new iconic one with what the hell, Hans Zimmer, is that it?
Yeah, Hans Zimmer.
That's his name. His is, like, iconic to this point. I'm really curious to see what he can do with the theme.
Yeah, I mean, you get, like, the Danny Elfman theme from the Tim Burton Batman is so iconic. Like, so much so, like, they use it in the animated series and everything like that. Like, that is a staple point for Batman. But then, as you mentioned, the Hans Zimmer theme is iconic as well in a completely different way for Batman. And even, like, the music that they used in Batman v Superman for Batman, that was really good as well. And so you're absolutely right. I'm so excited to see what it is that they're going to do with the score or the theme for Batman, because the Danny Elfman one is so completely in one way, and the Hans Zimmer one is so completely in a different way, and yet they're both, like, reminiscent of Batman. They feel like they're Batman scores, but are completely different. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what Michael Giacchino does with the score in this one. So I'm very excited to hear his theme as well. So, anyways, what do you think about all this? Are you excited that Zoe Kravitz and Paul Dano are going to be in the Batman? Are you upset that Jonah Hill's out of the Batman? And are you excited that Michael Giacchino is going to be doing the score? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to another segment here on the Movie Paradise Show, which is Trailer Talk. And we're going to be talking about a couple of different trailers today. First of which is the highly anticipated Robert Downey Jr. film, Iron Man 4. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Dolittle. Dolittle. The highly anticipated Dolittle. The Zookeeper sequel you never thought you wanted, and then you see the trailer and you realize, yep, we didn't want it. So... yeah,
this trailer did Dolittle for me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's... yeah.
This thing stinks.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't. All right, now here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll say. I think this is a movie that is ultimately made for families with kids, little kids. I think on that level, I think it will work well for them. I think it's going to be one of those movies that it has its target audience, and it's going for that, and it will do well for that audience, but it doesn't do well outside of that target audience. And I think in most cases, movies that are made for families and movies that are made for little kids to see, I think you can absolutely make those movies and make them accessible to adults as well. Just look at Pixar. They've done a fantastic job in making movies that are accessible to kids and accessible to families so that they can see, but also you can be a 59-year-old man and go see a Pixar movie and you'll love it. You know, they do such a great job in making those. And I think Dolittle is a case where they're making it for a specific target audience and it's not going to really have much value outside of that audience. But they've sunk so much money into this. I don't know why you would make a movie for that limited of an audience with the amount of money they put into this movie.
Can we just call it, I think this has a shot to be the biggest bomb of next year. Because think about all the money it's going to have to make just to break even. Because hasn't it like cost up to like $200 million at this point?
It's something like that. And then marketing.
I think it was 180 or something like that. And they haven't even really marketed it yet.
Now, I understand exactly where you're coming from with it being the biggest flop of 2020. I agree with you. I understand why. I just think, though, what could save it, and I think it's going to ultimately lose money, definitely. But I think what could keep it from being this absolute unmitigated disaster at the box office is that appeal to families. Because we were talking about this before off camera, and because it comes out like January 17th or something like that, and you were saying how, you know, you'll have Star Wars still out, you'll have Jumanji still out, and those are going to be targeting the families. And are people really going to go see Dolittle if they're spending all their money on Star Wars and Jumanji? But my counter to that is that I think there are families who have kids who they're not going to want to take their kids to go see Star Wars or Jumanji, because those movies are PG-13. And they might be like, you know, I've got my 5-year-old. I don't really want my 5-year-old to go see Star Wars Episode 9. I don't really want to take my 5-year-old to go see Jumanji. But you know what? A PG Dolittle? I'll go take my kid to go see that. And I think it could find that sort of niche market with those young kid families. And it could do very well for itself in that way. But I don't think that's going to be enough to make up for the amount of money that they've sunk into this.
Is there another kind of more kid friendly movie coming out like around Christmas that I'm trying to think? I can't
think off the top of my head.
I wouldn't even count out Frozen still at that point taking a lot of the box office. Look what happened with the last Frozen, how long that lasted.
Yes, but I think with Frozen coming out in November and then Dolittle not coming out until like middle to near the end of January, I think there's enough time in between that I don't think Frozen's going to be doing too much business that would take away from Dolittle. I still think Dolittle's going to lose money. Absolutely. I don't think there's a universe in which Dolittle comes out and makes a lot of money at the box office and, move aside Avengers Endgame, Dolittle is now the highest grossing movie of all time. I don't see a universe in which that happens. But I do think there is the chance and the possibility that Dolittle strikes a target audience and saves itself from making, $3 million at the box office, where it could do well for itself. It's just not going to do, the business that is needed to make up for the amount of money that they sunk into this. I don't know who the hell greenlit this movie. How do you greenlit?
I think this movie's going to be horrible.
I think it will too. I think it will too. But if you're looking for a family movie to go take your kids, your little kids, to go see, this could be it. This could be it. And it's going to suck, probably. It's probably going to be... we all read the reports about the whistleblower talking about all the stuff that was happening on set. And I'm not going to go into all the details on that because I don't have the article with me, but it was just highlighting, all the production issues that were going on with this movie. And it's not going to be good. It could do okay enough that it's not going to lose a ton of money, but we'll see.
Do you think this is the most expensive movie ever to be released in January?
I haven't thought about that. That's a really good point. I haven't thought about that. It could very well be. I don't know. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of another movie that's probably cost this much coming out in January. But, yeah, that very well
this should have been like an April release if it was any good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But we'll see. So, anyways, what did you think? Did you like the trailer for Dolittle? Are you holding out hope? Do you think it could be good? Do you think it could do well at the box office? Or do you agree with us that it's probably going to suck and it's probably going to end up tanking at the box office? What do you think? Leave your thoughts. It's going to do little at the box office. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to another trailer that we're going to be talking about that came out this week, and that is the second trailer for Bombshell, which is the movie revolving around everything that happened at Fox News with Roger Ailes and the people who came forward and talked about his abuse of power. And this is a movie that's always been interesting to me. You know, I'm involved and keep up with politics, and so any of these political movies I'm always at least interested from the get-go with some of these movies. But the first trailer that came out with Bombshell, I thought was fine. You know, it was short. It was a teaser. It was just them in an elevator, and while the trailer was fine for what it was, it didn't tell you anything about the movie. This was the first trailer that really went into depth as to what is this movie actually about? What's the crux of the conflict with the characters? What's actually happening in this movie? And I gotta say, I thought this trailer was intense. I thought it was very well done. The performances look fantastic. I still can't believe Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly. Like, she looks exactly like Megyn Kelly. It's ridiculous. And John Lithgow is like almost unrecognizable as Roger Ailes. He looks fantastic in it. The performances look great. The movie looks intense and riveting. I immediately bought into the drama of everything that was happening. So I gotta say, this trailer really got me excited for this movie. It bumped it up a few notches from kind of being like, oh yeah, Bombshell, I'm interested in that too. Yeah, I really want to see Bombshell now, which is what a trailer should do. But Rob, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
Bombshell is definitely a movie that I love the cast, and I love the story. Sounds something I want to see and see how it unravels, even though I know the real story, but I want to see how they do it in a movie. Mm-hmm. And I like the filmmaker, Jay Roach, he's pretty good too. But I don't know, this trailer just didn't really do it for me. I found the tone to just be a little kind of, like, it didn't seem, like you said you thought it was intense. I don't know, like the song choices they put in the trailer kind of like gave me this weird kind of feel. Like, I just didn't feel the way I wanted to feel by this trailer. And
yeah,
it's still a movie that I'm definitely going to check out, but I don't know. It was definitely a mixed bag for me. Like, I have to say, though, the performances I bet are going to be fantastic. I could see some Oscar nominations out of this one.
Definitely. I think we always get, whenever we get to these Oscar seasons, we always get some of those movies where the performances in it are great and the movie's just okay.
Yeah.
I think this movie could go that way, but I gotta say, at least for me, when I watched the trailer, I immediately bought into everything, and I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think the movie itself could be really good, but I definitely agree. The performances are going to be phenomenal, and I think that's going to be the main attraction to this movie. You're going to go because you want to see Nicole Kidman, you want to see Charlize Theron, you want to see Margot Robbie, you want to see John Lithgow, you want to see these performances, and I think that's going to be the main drawing point for this film.
Yeah, and early reviews are saying it's pretty damn good, too. I mean, I've seen some people didn't like it, but most of people seem to like it. So.
Yeah. So, anyways, what do you think? Did you like the second trailer for Bombshell? Are you looking forward to it? Or is it one that you think you're going to take a pass on? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And now we move on to a segment here on the Movie Paradise Show called Go or No Go. And how this works is that we take a couple of movies that we've had a chance to see in the past week, and we simply tell you whether we think you should go see the movie in theaters, or no go, as in you don't really have to go check that one out. It's not really worth your time. And the first movie we're going to start out with is The Lighthouse, which is the new Robert Eggers film, who, of course, he directed The Witch for A24. And now this movie, starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, is out in theaters. Rob, you and I had a chance to go see this movie. What are your thoughts on The Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse was it's much slower than like mainstream horror, and you should expect that going into it, knowing that it's A24 and it's from the director of The Witch. But I think if you stick with it, you're gonna get something from it, because it's a very haunting film and leaves you with a lot of questions, and it's filled with two excellent, some of the best of the year between Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. They just escape into these roles, and they're just like crazy lunatics in this movie. It's so interesting to watch, and the direction in this movie is I have to give that like an A+ from. I think Robert Eggers has a really bright future. I can't wait to see his new Viking movie that was announced, and like you can see from the trailer, the black and white and the cinematography of it was really, really fantastic. I hope this gets some Oscar recognition when we get to that line, because I think it really deserves it. Well, my only kind of flaws in the movie is there's parts of the movie where I was like, well, I don't really understand what that means, and I don't really see where this is going. But it kind of just leads into the whole like just like psychotic like just way of this movie, like how like it kind of portrays like going insane. And so like in a way it's kind of like I'm watching this, I don't know what's going on, and like I'm feeling crazy because like I don't know what the hell's going on. So I can see how it could have its negatives and its positives, but overall I'm gonna say I think if you're a horror lover and you'd like to challenge yourself with different kind of horror movies, definitely check this one out. I give it a go.
Yeah. So I gotta say, first and foremost, I was not the biggest fan in the world of The Witch. I liked it, but I didn't go crazy for it for like a lot of other people did. So I didn't have that immediate, whatever Robert Eggers does next, I'm immediately on board. But I gotta say, this movie really did it for me. I really liked it. Like you said, the performances that Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe give are just fantastic. Now, without going into any spoilers, the first half of the movie I was watching, I was like, Willem Dafoe is really stealing the whole show here. Like, Robert Pattinson's good, but, like, this is Willem Dafoe's, like, performance. Like, this is him on display. And then the second half of the movie, when certain things start happening for Robert Pattinson's character, that's when you really get to see his performance on display. And the two of them just are fantastic. Like, the direction in this movie, getting those performances out of them is just great. And like you said, this is really about seeing two characters kind of almost go insane. And just watch...
Almost?
Well, you'll see for yourself when you watch the movie. But just kind of them slowly getting further and further away from reality, the claustrophobia of being in this lighthouse. And I gotta say, the brilliant use of the frame, the aspect ratio, the 3:4, having the black and white, the cinematography. I said this, like, this was my first thought coming out of this movie. This is the best shot movie I've seen all year. The Lighthouse has outstanding cinematography. It's just the way that they shoot the lighthouse, the shots themselves. Like, the first few minutes of the movie was just absolutely breathtaking in terms of what they were shooting, and I had this giant smile on my face as I was sitting in the theater, because I was like, this is just absolutely gorgeous to watch. The lighting, the sound design, the score is absolutely haunting. The score is just phenomenal. It's so atmospheric, and it so perfectly captures everything that's going on in the movie, and it just really the score itself really makes you feel like there is something more going on than, like, there's more beneath the surface of the film, which as the movie goes on you kind of find out. I thought it was very surrealist. Like, it had moments where you couldn't really tell what was sort of delusion and fantasy and what was reality, and it does such a great job in all that. I will say, this isn't really a horror movie at all, and I think there are some people going in, like, I talked to a couple of people who were like, oh yeah, The Lighthouse, the next A24 horror movie. I'm like, it's not really a horror movie, it's more of like a psychological, I don't want to say thriller, more like a psychological drama than a horror movie per se. Like, definitely not a horror movie in the way that The Witch was a horror movie. There are moments of horror, and there are some horror elements, but I wouldn't say it's a horror movie. So I'd say, for people going to see this movie, know what you're getting yourself into. You know, it's a slow burn, it's very slow paced, but, you know, if you stick with it and you invest your time into it, it certainly pays off. I'm also going to give The Lighthouse a go.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyways, what do you think? Have you had a chance to see The Lighthouse? Are you planning on seeing The Lighthouse? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to the next go or no-go, which is one that I actually haven't seen, but Rob, you had the chance to go see last night, and that is the new Safdie Brothers directed film starring Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems. Rob, take it away. What are your thoughts on Uncut Gems?
So if you've heard other episodes of the show, you know I'm a big fan of the Safdie Brothers. The movie Good Time is one of the best movies I've seen in the last maybe 5 or 10 years. It is absolutely incredible, and I was so excited to see this movie, especially since it doesn't come out till like the end of December. Yeah. And I'm also a pretty big Adam Sandler fan, even though I do admit most of his comedy movies are trash. I just really like the guy. I think he's awesome. Mm-hmm. So going into this, my expectations were on an all-time high, and I have to say for the most part, they were pretty much met. This movie, it starts off kind of weird, and when I first started watching, I was like, I don't know this. But then there's specific moments in the movie where I'm like, oh, okay. And then like all of a sudden, like you just kind of like get along for the ride, and then it just shoots off for the whole rest of the movie. Yeah. There's so many scenes of just pure anxiety in this movie that make you want to like cringe in your seat. And there's also like incredible use of tension. The Safdie brothers, these guys, I mean, I know they've only directed like 3 feature films, but they're masters makers. I really think.
Yeah. So I got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I think you might have frozen there, Rob. Hey, I think we're having some connectivity issues with Rob on his end, but I'll take it up real quick. So I haven't seen Uncut Gems myself, as I said before. I haven't even really seen too much of the Safdie brothers, but I have to say, one of my big reasons for being excited for Uncut Gems, more so than the directors, because I haven't seen Good Time, I haven't seen the Safdie brothers' other films, has been that I've been saying for a long time now that Adam Sandler is a guy who, he had his heyday when it came to comedy, but his days now have passed as a comedy actor, as a comedian in films, making great comedic films. I think that died most definitely with Jack and Jill. But what he showed with a couple of films, more specifically Reign Over Me, is that he has this pure, great acting ability, dramatic acting ability, that he showed can be Oscar caliber. That he is an Oscar caliber dramatic actor. And the guy just does not play that up enough. He doesn't lean into that because, you know, Netflix is going to give him, I don't know, what, $20 million to do a shitty comedy? And he's like, yeah, I'll go for that. Oh, all right, I think you're back with us now. I don't know what happened. Yeah, we can hear you now. I don't know what happened. I think you might have frozen up for a little bit. But one of my big excitements for Uncut Gems was the fact that we were getting this like really gritty, dramatic performance from Adam Sandler. And so, how did he do in the film himself?
Oh, this was like he was born to play this role. It plays to all of his strengths. This movie is surprisingly really funny too. There's a lot of dark humor in this movie that I think he is exceptional in. I don't think I've laughed this hard at one of his movies in years, to be honest with you. But you could see that. I bet there was a lot of some slight improv in this movie too, just because a lot of this movie, and this could either be you might not like this or you might really like this, like me. It's just pure chaos with just people screaming and yelling over each other, and just. This movie is just full with arguments, and I absolutely love the chaotic nature of it. Yeah. And the score and the cinematography, just like Good Time, is exceptional, and I just think it's another win for these guys, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. I'm so lucky to be able to see it early.
Yeah.
And
So-
I would 100% give this a go, like a must go.
A must go. We gotta add that. We gotta add that. We gotta have
I know.
tiers. We gotta have must go, no go.
Have
I don't
like the
know.
holy like music play over.
Yeah. So, anyways, what do you think? Have you been one of the lucky people to go see Uncut Gems early? Are you like me, where
You're hearing all these great things, and you're just waiting until the day that you have a chance to go see Uncut Gems? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we move on to the main topic here on the show, on the Movie Paradise show for today's installment. We're going to talk about something that I don't think I've really heard anyone talk about thus far, which is what will be the highest grossing movie of 2020. And I feel like in the past several years, like maybe even the last 5 years, every year has had a definitive answer. Like, oh, an Avengers movie's coming out? Yeah, that's going to probably be the highest grossing movie of that year. Oh, a Star Wars movie's coming out? Yeah, that'll be the highest grossing. But when you look at 2020 and the movies that are coming out, we don't have a big Star Wars movie. We do have a couple of MCU movies, but those are Black Widow and Eternals, which I don't think anyone is expecting those to be giant juggernauts at the box office. We don't really have any huge Disney films that, because I remember when I told you the topic, I was like, the topic's going to be what's the highest grossing movie of 2020, and you're like, something Disney. And I was like, maybe, but maybe not. We don't have that clear answer. And so what we're both going to do today is we're going to tell you 3 films that we think have a shot at being the highest grossing movie of 2020. And I think compared to previous years, the margin of difference between, especially with 2019, since Avengers Endgame is now the highest grossing movie of all time at $2.7 billion, the difference in the years in terms of what's the highest grossing movie, it's going to be a very wide margin. Because I don't see, there's going to be movies in 2020 that hit $1 billion. Not nearly as much as some of the previous years, though. It's going to be very interesting to see. So here are my 3 picks of what I think could be the highest grossing movie of 2020. I'm going to start it off with Black Widow. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Black Widow is going to be a huge movie. I think it has a shot at $1 billion, mainly because Scarlett Johansson's a very well-known name. People love the Black Widow character, and I think if the movie is really good, people could turn out for it. I think it has that shot. Now, it's tricky because if there was any other year, I would say, oh yeah, no, Black Widow, that's not going to be the highest grossing movie of the year. It probably won't even crack the top 5. But when you're looking at 2020, what other options do you have? So I think Black Widow is definitely a very serious consideration for that top 2020 spot, especially if it does get really great word of mouth, people turn out to go see it, and it hits that $1 billion mark. I think it has that shot at being the highest grossing film of the year. Now, the other one, which I think could also hit that, is Wonder Woman 1984. Now, the difference here is that Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out with there already having been a previous Wonder Woman movie. Black Widow doesn't have that. Black Widow has appeared in some of the biggest movies of all time, in like Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, in very memorable positions, but Black Widow hasn't had a previous movie. Wonder Woman has. And the last Wonder Woman movie made, what, $800 something million, right around there? Wonder Woman 1984 could position itself well for a $1 billion spot. And I think at this point, if there is a movie that's positioning itself for a $1 billion spot, it's in that top contention for a top 2020 movie. So I think Wonder Woman 1984 has a shot at that. And here's the one that I don't think a lot of people are immediately going to think about, but I think very well might even beat out Black Widow and Wonder Woman as the highest grossing movie of 2020. And that's the new Minions movie. There is a new Minions movie, The Rise of Gru, coming next year. And you know what? That last Minions movie, the last Minions movie made over $1 billion. It did. And with the height of how successful and popular Minions are and the Despicable Me franchise, and since the last Minions movie even though it wasn't as well received as some of the other Despicable Me movies, that came out and made over $1 billion. And so if you're talking about what could be one of the top 2020 movies, and we're already saying that if you're looking at you could make $1 billion, you're already in that conversation for a top, being the highest grossing movie of 2020, you got to take into consideration the next Minions movie. Now who knows, because the last Minions movie came out several years ago, and like I said, it wasn't super well received, and even though it made over $1 billion, maybe because it wasn't as well received, maybe not everyone's going to turn out for this next one. That's very well a possibility. But they very well could. I think Minions and Despicable Me, has a built-in fan base, and I think they will turn out for the movie, and we very well could be looking at Minions: The Rise of Gru as the top movie of 2020. So anyways, to sum up my thoughts on that, I think Black Widow, Wonder Woman 1984, and Minions: The Rise of Gru are the three most probable movies of 2020 to come out and take that top spot in being the highest grossing movie of the year. So Rob, I'm curious, throwing over to you, what movies do you think have a shot at taking that top spot?
Well, I had my three, but then as we were speaking, I thought of two, and I wanted to know if you knew if they were coming. Is Venom 2 coming out next year?
Venom, I think that's 21. I think Morbius is next year.
I thought it was next year, because now we were just speaking, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, what about that
one? Let's do a quick fact checker, Matt. Could you look up real quick and see when Venom 2 comes out? Okay. So we're gonna check that real quick to see if that's 20 or 21, because that is an important one.
And what about Fast and Furious 9? Isn't that this year too? I just thought of that one.
Oh, I think, you know what? We can check that one as well. I do think Fast and Furious 9 comes out next year. And if that does, then you know what? That's a very serious contender as well. You're absolutely right on that.
Venom 2 is 2020.
We'll find those out.
Venom 2.
I'll give my official list.
Venom 2 is 2020, and we're checking on Fast and Furious 9 real quick.
Oh, so it is next year, Venom 2.
Also, the next reboot of A Star Is Born. Fast and Furious 9 is also 2020.
Fast and Furious 9 is also 2020. So there you go. Now here's the thing.
Take two of them out.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know if I'd put Venom 2 in that list, because while the first Venom made $800 million, Venom 2, I don't know if that's gonna. I think you have to be in the $1 billion conversation to be the top movie of 2020. I don't know if Venom 2 can make $1 billion, especially with how poorly received the last one was. And even though it made $800 million, unless if this new one comes out and people are just absolutely raving about it and people love it, I don't know if that movie can get to that $1 billion mark.
Well, I'm going to put Venom on my list just because it seemed like the mass audiences seemed to really like that movie, and I just think with no event, like big Avengers movies coming out that year, I just think, and no Spider-Man movies coming out, I think people are going to have a real hunger to see this movie, and it's going to make $1 billion. So I put that as one of my three.
Yeah.
And then my other three, now that I know Fast and Furious 9, I'll also put that one, because if you look at the trajectory of the Fast and Furious movies, and take out Hobbs and Shaw, I'll just, for my argument, but if you look at the trajectory of those other ones, they've all gone up and up and up. And I think, what did the last one make? Like it made
1.2 or something.
But didn't it make $1 billion worldwide or something?
The Fast and Furious 8, yeah, it was like 1.2 or something.
Yeah. So I think the next Fast and Furious is going to do huge overseas, and I think that's going to cross the $1 billion club, and I think that will have a good shot. And then my last one, I'll go with, I think Eternals has a good shot, just because it's coming out in that November window. It's going to be in that prime Thanksgiving kind of slot. Like, it's going to last all the way through November, early December. And I just think there's going to be excitement over, it's a brand new Marvel movie, like with brand new characters. It's a space movie. And look at the success of Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are Marvel properties that we hadn't heard of, but they still made a ton of money. So I think that one has a good shot.
I I agree with you. I think that... Here's the thing. I think Eternals is looking around 700 to 800 million. That's around what Guardians did. I think Captain Marvel had a boost, because I legitimately think a lot of the controversy, quote unquote, because a lot of it was just sexist bullshit, a lot of that controversy surrounding Captain Marvel really helped it.
Yeah.
But I think that Eternals, especially since nobody knows Eternals, nobody knows what the hell Eternals is. Very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, exactly.
That was going
and
to
Guardians
be number one of that year until American Sniper came out.
Yeah, and Guardians did like 700 something, and then the second one did like around that as well. I think that's what Eternals is looking at, around 7 or so, maybe even 800 million. But back to Fast and Furious 9, I'd completely forgotten that was coming out last year, but what's going to be interesting about Fast and Furious 9 is that this is the first one since Fast 5 that Dwayne Johnson isn't in. And it was Fast 5 when Dwayne Johnson came in that was when the series started getting their huge box office numbers. And so I'm curious, with no Dwayne Johnson, we just saw that Hobbs and Shaw has made what, like 700 million? Or something like that, yeah. Which is very good for a spinoff. But it is part of that Fast and Furious franchise, and we are seeing a dip in the series. I don't know. Are people going to turn out in mass as much as they have for the previous movies for a Fast and Furious movie that doesn't have Dwayne Johnson? Maybe they will. Maybe this one comes out and it makes 1.2, just like Fate of the Furious. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe it only makes 900 million. Or maybe it just barely crosses $1 billion. But overall, it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up taking that top spot. Like I've said, there is no clear answer like there has been in previous years. The past 2 years, it's like, oh yeah, Avengers is coming out, that'll be the highest grossing. Oh, there's a Star Wars? Yep, that'll be it. But we don't have that this year, or this upcoming year. And whatever movie does come out, it's going to be very interesting to see how many billion-dollar movies we have. Because in the past couple of years, it's been like every other week, a movie just made $1 billion, you know. It seems like they were so easily making billions of dollars. It's going to be very interesting to see. We'll get one, definitely. Are we going to get 2 movies that make $1 billion? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I think so.
Well, I mean, what does make $1 billion? Like Fast and Furious 9, I think probably has the best shot at making $1 billion. Minions could make $1 billion. I think the lack of
Avengers and Star Wars will make people see these other movies, and that's what's going to propel them to $1 billion.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see a $2 billion movie, though.
No, I don't think so either. Not in the slightest. But, anyways, what do you think is going to be the highest grossing movie of 2020? Do you agree with our picks? Collectively, we kind of came up with Black Widow, Wonder Woman 1984, the new Minions movie, Fast and Furious 9, Venom 2, and what was the third one that you said? Eternals. Those are kind of what we think have the best shot at getting the top spot in 2020. But what do you think? Is it going to be something else? Is there another movie that we're forgetting? Do you think it's going to be one of those? How many billion-dollar movies do you think we're even going to get next year? It's really all up in the air. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And now we're going to turn it over to the live questions to see if we have any. And we're just going to take a quick second to bring that up to see if we can get that going. Do we have any? I made one as a joke. Okay, so we don't have any. Okay. So we actually don't have any questions over at the live chat right now. Fortunately, I guess Rich Reviews isn't joining us this week, unfortunately. But hopefully Rich will hop in next week. That'll be cool. So, anyways, so thank you for tuning in for this installment of the Movie Paradise Show. Once again, we are live every single Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about all the things to do with movies in the world out there, with each week passing by and what breaks that week. So you'll want to tune in every week. I'd like to thank Rob, our co-host, for being here. Rob Giachinta, thanks for joining us this week.
Justice for Jexy.
Justice for Jexy. And once again, I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content. Be sure to follow us on all of our various social medias at Movie Paradise 99.